my name is Malek from Knack Training, and in today's Everyday Office video, I'm going to use data validation in Excel to restrict what we enter to be a unique value. So the overall scenario I'm painting myself into here is that ultimately I want to create a Visio diagram that shows the entire structure of our organization and who everybody reports to. Now the problem with doing that is that I need every single person I put into my spreadsheet to have a unique ID. You can see that ID over there. So let's say I do a little 001 there. I actually want it to look like 001 here, so I'll make it 3 digits. Okay, so ID number 1 for person number 1 with the position, and they don't report to anybody. Now, we are at a position here where the next person down needs to be person 2 or 3 or 7 or 18. It doesn't really matter what they are, as long as they are not number 1, right? There needs to be a unique identifier for this person. So the first step to solving this problem is that I'm going to turn this set of data into a table. So I'm just highlighting the data, going to insert up at the top of my screen and choosing table, and clicking OK. And I will need this to have a name that I can use later. So I'll go up here to my table name box up in the corner, and I'll just go ahead and call this employees. OK, and hit enter. All right, so now the table is called employees, and you can see very clearly that the column is called ID. That's pretty straightforward. Now at this point, if I click directly onto the cell A2 and put data validation onto this cell, as the table gets bigger, all the cells underneath it are going to get the same validation as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So all I need to do is validate this cell right here to make sure that it's unique. And in the future, when I try to put a matching value here, it's going to stop me from doing that. So let's see it in action. First, I click on the cell A2, which is that ID cell right here. And I go up here to the Data tab, and I click on Data Validation. Now, the data validation is not going to be a number or a decimal or an item from a list or a date or anything like that. I need to use a custom function to put in the validation, whatever the validation happens to be. Okay, so now what I need is a formula that either results in a true or it results in a false. If it results in a false, the error is going to trigger. And if it results in a true, we can move forward. So what kind of formula can we use? Well, if we want to check whether what we're typing matches what's earlier in the table, we can say $COUNTIF. So if you find a match for the thing that we're working on here, then go ahead and tell us that there is a match. Okay, so COUNTIF, if you find something that matches with this, count the number. All right, so open the parentheses. Now in COUNTIF, what we do is we give it first the range of cells to look through, and second, the criteria that we're trying to compare. And this is where our table comes into play. In an earlier video, I demonstrated how the INDIRECT function would be used in our data validation drop-down menus to reference a table, because you can't just put the name of the table directly into the COUNTIF function. You have to use the INDIRECT function with quotation marks here. And now we put in employees, which is the name of the table, square bracket, ID, which is the name of the column, close the square bracket, close the quotation marks, close the parentheses. So what are we counting? Well, I need you to go to the employees table and look at the entire column called ID. At that point, comma, I need you to find if there are any matches for the cell that I'm on right now that I'm typing into. And that is, again, INDIRECT, open the parentheses, quotation marks, the employees table, and then it's square bracket at ID close square bracket, close quotation marks, close parentheses. So what is this thing? The indirect function says, okay, tell me where we're talking about. Well, you go to the employees table, and instead of just saying the entire ID column, at ID means the ID cell that we're talking about right now, that we're pointing at right now. And so as we slide down, that'll be A2, A3, A4, A5, while employees ID column will be the entire column. So that is, look for the value I've got right here in this cell in that entire column. Now at that point, we close off the COUNTIF and we say, is that equal to 1? So is the count of all the things that match up with this ID number in that ID column equal to 1? If it is, great. But if it isn't, error alert, not a unique value. Please enter a value that is not already in the table. And I click OK. Now at this point you can see 001, no big deal. And then right here, let's say I type in 2. Okay, 002. That's definitely not a match, so not a big deal. Kara Anderson, CTO, reports to 001. Now, I accidentally put that this next person is ID number 2. And it says, okay, well, you just told me that in this table, the employees table, that I should look at this cell right here that you're typing a 2 into. You should look for the number 2 other places in this column, and if the count is more than 1, then it should be a problem. And you can see here, please enter a value that's not already in the table. Hit retry, type in a 3, and everything's fine. So again, I try to type in, let's say 3. There's already a 3 in the table. Try to type in a 2. There's already a 2 in the table. Try to type in a 1. There's already a 1 in the table, so 4. Now, of course, it's not keeping me to successive values, but that's not really the most critical thing here. The most critical piece of information is that the ID that I enter into this table is not matched by any other ID in the rest of the table. Touch